Oh my god, my favorite.
Are you ready for it?
Doing a presentation. Daniel Gates.
I'm gonna look at my $3,000 invoice and cry.
Actually, when I was living in the States. Oh, so funny.
No, I checked it. Checked both, like the printed one and the one on the package.
Tell me more about
Because I remembered the height.
$3,000
I feel like MIT is a program.
invoice.
Huh?
$3,000.
Hey, Rick, you hear about this?
$3,000.
For chance.
I'm so, in my defense, I thought it was only going to be 2,400.
Funny enough. I'm kidding.
It's in the budget. It's in. They said it's okay. There is no way exactly. We have pancakes, we have bacon, turkey bacon and pork bacon. We have fruit salad, and we have home fries and coffee and juice and tea. There's no eggs. I don't think Aramark carries eggs. Do you really want to eat Aramark eggs? It's sort of like those it's sort of like those hotel meals, like where like the eggs come like in like a brick. Like you know like hotels where like, they make scramble the eggs like before and then they just like freeze them and like put it as like a massive brick.
And then
You actually can't use it.
Welcome everyone to our first meeting of the academic year. The time is now 7:07 on September 25th, and I call this meeting to order.
To the Blue Ribbon Panel Report and pushing for recommendations like greater grant percentages for
We will first hear a land acknowledgement from Councillor Triantafilakis.
I would like to start by saying that we acknowledge that Western University is located on the traditional lands of the Nishnawbe, Haudenosaunee, Lenapehoik, and Ottawadaron peoples on lands connected with London Township, Sovereign Treaties of 1796, and the Dish with One Spoon Continent Wampum. With this, we respect the long-standing relationships that Indigenous nations have to this land, as they are the original caretakers. We acknowledge the historical and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we accept the responsibility as a public institution to contribute towards revealing and correcting miseducation, as well as renewing respectful relationships with the Indigenous communities through our teaching, research, and community service. During my time as a student leader at Western, I've always made an effort to deliver land acknowledgements. However, I've come to realize in the past, I approach these acknowledgements as a task to complete rather than opportunities to educate myself. I soon realized how little I truly understood about the significance of these statements. Growing up, I was taught about Indigenous communities as they were solely part of the past, rather than something that I still needed to be given much thought or attention towards. This disconnect led me to question the purpose of making these acknowledgements, especially when they felt like statements directed at a small selected group of people. This past week, I learned that by starting our meetings with land acknowledgements, we open up the door to recognize the enduring impacts of colonialism and sparking conversations about the need for systemic change. These acknowledgements are more than symbolic. They are stepping stones towards honoring the broken treaty relationships. They are not about placing blame, but about contributing to reconciliation. As student leaders elected to advocate for the student body, making these acknowledgements is a small step, but crucial, towards fostering a community at Western that is more aware and engaged in the process of reconciliation. So I'd like to end by saying, whoever signs up to do land acknowledgements in the future, I would hope that you are able to use mine to understand why we do them, and are encouraged to share your story with what you discover and learn.
Thank you, Counselor. We're having a bit of trouble, technical difficulties with the Western song. So if anyone knows the song and would like to sing it for us, I invite you to the front to do so. Okay, Science, please come up and you are welcome to sing the Western song. Come up here. Yes, please come to the front.
Everybody stand.
Maybe I declined it. Where's my quarter?
Oh, there's no video? All right. Almost. I just sent it. Y'all all have it?
Absolutely all.
All right. We are at different editions. All right.
W's up.
Western, you, college fair and square. Arts and meds are strong for you, deny it if you dare. White and purple, others are one by know. Just which college is the best, come and let us know. This you is our you, and more you strive to do our best to fight with might and main.
Once made, we will always
Adore her, our alma mater, Western School of Fame. When Western U goes marching down the field, your team will never ever yield. And though the other team has lots of pep, when they see our team, they'll know they're out of step. When the game goes down in history, another Western victory. The game goes down for Western U. Rah, rah, rah.
Here we go. Holla, rickety, rackety, roo, a sky of Western U.
Western, Western.
Woo!
If you make pink dissolve, instead of
Thank you, counselors. All counselors, please head to Echo 360 to record your attendance. The session ID is noted in the meeting agenda. Okay, counselors that it's not working for, can you please raise your placard so we will manually take, oh, that's everyone, okay.
We're still waiting for the question to be available.
Has everyone done their attendance? Okay. We will now move on to the approval of the agenda. So just to provide a quick summary, we will start with executive reports, followed by a board report. We have at least two motions for election items. So there's the motion regarding the selection of counselors for the EDI committee, as well as the motion regarding the OUSA Fall General Assembly delegates. For action, we have the motion to approve the executive reports, followed by the motion to ratify the federal budget submission recommendations. Then there's the motion regarding the approval of revisions to the grants policy and approval of the UA budget recommendations. Before we move to approve the agenda, are there any amendments to the agenda of this meeting to be made at this time? President Kalajian.
I'd like to propose an amendment to include a motion regarding the election of counselors to the Library Student Advisory Council. And I'll pass it over to Mariana to explain more about that.
Hey everyone, so Western Libraries reached out to me to discuss the Library Student Advisory Council. So this is a committee that provides a channel for discussing feedback with library administration regarding existing library programs and services. So they're looking to involve students as key stakeholders in this. And so this motion is just to elect 2 counselors to the group as student representatives on this council.
Before we proceed, can I please have a seconder for President Kalajian's amendment? Councillor Ridley. Are there any questions related to this amendment? Are there any points of debate? Okay. Are there any objections to adding this to the agenda? Okay. Are there any additional amendments to the agenda at this time? Seeing as there is no further amendments, do I have a mover to approve this agenda? Councillor John and Councillor Matasako. Okay, so those are our mover and seconder. Okay, can councillors please proceed to Echo 360 to vote on the approval of the agenda as amended? The motion passes and the agenda stands as amended. We will now move to approve the minutes from our previous council meeting. Can I have a mover to introduce the motion? Councillor Smith. And can I have a seconder? Councillor Lee. Are there any amendments to be made at this time to the minutes from our last meeting? Are there any questions regarding the minutes? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Okay, we will continue with the minutes as approved. Please move to vote in Echo 360 for the approval of the minutes. The motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to comments from the chair, myself. So I'm just going to provide a quick little instruction around voting on the EDI and the library committee motions. So for motion one, how it will work. So the EDI counselor election. So how that will work is once we move to that motion, you will have the opportunity to self-nominate yourself. Once every counselor that self-nominates, each nominee will have 2 minutes to address council about why they should be nominated for the position, and there will not be a question. There will not be a question and answer period. Regarding motion 3, so I will defer to the DRO to provide instructions at the time. So that is for the OUSA delegate election. And then as a secondary reminder for counselors, please remember to speak directly into the microphone closest to you if you are called upon. Because we have a lot of presentations tonight, please be sure to give everyone the same attention and consideration you would expect while presenting. And then to all of our candidates tonight, best of luck. And then for the library committee motion, it will be the same as for the EDI motion in terms of the election, and it'll be done via ranked ballot. Okay, we will now move on to our executive presentations. So I will invite President Kalajian up to provide her report.
Not loud in this. Can you hear me? Everyone can hear me? Yes? Okay, that sounds better. Amazing. Okay, so some updates for me. I guess ask me about is I'm going to see Billie Eilish in 2 weeks from now with my friend Stavros. Shout out to Social Sci, so that'll be fun. And then I think my top 3 highlights coming into the school year is actually this past O week was my first technical O week, fun fact. So I came in 2020, so I didn't have a proper, I would say, traditional orientation week, and I didn't soft. So this is a really cool insight for me, and thank God for Sarah, she's just amazing. But it was really cool, like with fresh perspective, to experience orientation week and have the opportunity to do that. So that was amazing. And also seeing platform points come to life, I think that's like a big piece. You run on a mandate, and working really hard with my campaign team coming up with things. I think it's really amazing now having some of my VPs execute that and working on that alongside them. So that's really wonderful. And then I would say consistent and heightened student engagement. So we've already had a couple events just in the last 2 weeks, and it's just wonderful to see so many students being interested from across campus. And it just goes to show the engagement at USC is pretty renowned, and it's nice to see that people want to engage with us. So getting into the meat and potatoes of this presentation, a week was awesome. I would say it was very safe and successful by all accounts. Sarah will go into more specifics, but honestly, the report about O Week is that there is nothing to report except for it was amazing. And for the people in the room that soft, thank you so much. For our Dons, thank you so much. Our O crew, they did so wonderful. One of the things that we worked on this year from the presidential platform was increasing the amount of faculty spaces that we had on campus. So if you're a faculty soft, you would have had access to the peer support center as well as our different rooms on the 3rd floor that you could chill in, because like the big discrepancy is that resident softs have stoops compared to the faculty softs who don't have a place to stay on campus. So they had that this year, which was really wonderful. And I think our transit home actually worked out really well this year as well. So you have to thank Sarah for all those things. So moving on to the next thing, which is the SUDS, which is actually something I want to talk about the last time that we met. But SUDS happened in August, and it's a conference that occurs in BC. So we got to meet with a ton of different student unions, and it was wonderful. I think, obviously, there's something to be said about having a campus next to the mountains, and that was really great. We had a fun time. We had a little swim. It was awesome. And I wanted to talk about Policy 1.1. I know that was a big thing that we got a lot of student feedback on, and obviously very grateful that it took a pause, because I do think there needs to be more meaningful consultation. So I wanted to put this in my update so I can just let you know that there is consultation and a plan for that to be done. They're going to start with elected officials, most likely. That was talked about by Dr. Shepard at the last Senate meeting. So starting with the USC, SOGs, and our student senators. After that, there'll be more plans for consultation, but as of right now, that's kind of where we're starting. So I have begun to meet with different student groups to get their feedback, to be able to provide the most, I would say, well-rounded answers to the administration when they come to talk. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. And then moving on, we're planning the lacrosse game for Truth and Reconciliation, which will be on October 2nd. Shreya and I have been working really hard on that. She's been kind of doing the engagement and then the comms piece, and I've been kind of reaching out and strategically planning our logistics with athletics. So there's a men's lacrosse game that night, and we're starting it off with dinner at the Wave for the lacrosse teams and the Indigenous community, so that'll be great. And then there's open sessions to learn to play lacrosse at 7. So I highly recommend each one of you come out for a little learn to play. And then there will be the game following that. We'll hear from Christy Brissett, who works for the Indigenous Student Center, and she's one of the AVPs of the university. And there'll be a halftime performance by Eagle Flight, and if you were at Global Village, you'd recognize them. They were awesome. So really looking forward to that. It's our inaugural game, and I think it's a great tradition to kind of start for your years to go on for Truth and Reconciliation, and really partnering with our Indigenous community here on campus. Okay, next, the by-election. So obviously we'll talk about that here, but I think there's something to be said about elections not happening at the general and usual time that they happen in the winter. So as a heads up, just make sure you're informing your constituents that it's happening, try to get the voter turnout as high as possible, and that's all I have to say on that. Okay, so upcoming, homecoming, obviously. We're doing a lot of work with Western for our communications and just promoting harm reduction, making sure people are charging their phones, maybe they have their friend's location, all of these things. But most importantly, we've been planning our fan festival, which will have free food, some entertainment, and of course the football game. And I think they're actually playing Queens, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty iconic, so you should definitely come. And then we'll have a pancake breakfast in the morning at Concrete Beach. If you want to swing by, my team and I will be volunteering. Okay. Forest City Film. So as per my platform, one of the things I wanted to do was collaborate and partner more with the film festival on campus. So one thing we're going to be doing, I think, this week is reaching out to get some free tickets, specifically for arts and humanities and films, just because it's more pertinent to their programs. We can hand them out just so they can enjoy it and kind of start that relationship there. And there'll be more to come in second semester to have more of a fulsome relationship with their executive director at Forest City Film. So that'll be wonderful. Alumni Association. So as USC president, I have a spot and a position with our Alumni Association. So on Friday, I'll be meeting with them and getting to share all the wonderful things that we're up to, which will be great. And there's a new building opening. Well, it's already opened, but the grand opening is this Friday, and Gary Vee is coming to give a little talk. So I'll be there as well, which will be super fun. And I think just great to have additional study spaces. It's a very student-centric center. That's the whole point of it. It's for student innovation. It's for you to have extra spaces. You can book out rooms for free. It's really, really all about you and what your work is here. So I know I would have appreciated something like that when I was in my undergrad, and classrooms are not always ideal, right? And there's some open space, and it's pretty new, and I think it'll be a really great resource for everybody to have. All right, and my last one is that we have our USC/HK meeting that will be happening. It's a monthly meeting that we have to kind of touch base and make sure we're all on the same page. I think it's next week, Rick, next week? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, that's all I have to report, and I'll pass it over to Mariana. Oh, actually, sorry, any questions? Questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, President Kalajian. I now invite Vice President Batista up to provide her report.
Hey everyone. I hope that your first week back at school has been going very well. So, some updates on the UA portfolio. Actually, I'll start with the Ask Me About. I put drawing up there. I've been recently getting back into drawing. It's always been a passion of mine, and I'm currently working on updating my portfolio, so that's been fun. But some highlights so far is during O Week, we had decorated some custom USC exec coveys. So that was really fun. We went paintballing, and I got to shoot Daniel and Emily, so that was a win for me. And then also, we also had the golf carts all week, so that was really fun. And we were also training our new coordinators. So the UA portfolio is now fully hired. One of my coordinators is sitting over there. Hey, Brooklyn. All right, so with the updates, first off, we have the UA budget submission. So for the budget submission over the summer, I've been consulting with stakeholders to help advise our recommendations for the annual university budget. Some of the recommendations are focused on the overarching topic of affordability and accessibility, as these have been a consistent priority year after year, as evident in the USC census reports that we have. And so some specific priorities include menstrual equity, work-integrated learning, and the expansion of student spaces. And then in terms of the academic consideration policy, I've been working with the Academic Consideration Implementation Working Group to present the USC's plans for the digital campaign that we're doing. So you may have seen we posted a carousel post this morning on the new policy, just describing what it is, as well as how to request for an academic consideration should a student need it. And so if you're able to repost these on your accounts as well as the faculty council accounts, that would be really helpful. We just want to get it out to as many students as possible. And then in terms of the position paper, so the surveys for the BIPOC and religious students paper, as well as the transit and pedestrian safety paper, are now available online. The focus is to narrow down on the priorities, and then we'll be having focus groups to ask more open-ended guided questions. And then moving on to food redistribution. So I met with Western Hospitality Services to learn more about their sustainability and food redistribution initiatives, and they're very open to collaborating throughout the year. So I'm looking to invite them for our World Food Day event, which will be in October, and that's a collaboration between the UA portfolio and the student engagement portfolio. And then I also met with the manager of the grocery store checkout to learn about their experience over the summer using Too Good To Go. They have said that it's been really successful, very positive response. So we're looking to see if I'm able to advocate that more spots on campus start implementing this service as well. And then for USC Day next week, we're having an advocacy booth. So that'll be Michelle and I will be there, and it'll just highlight the work of the UA and E8 portfolios. We're gonna have trivia, give out rave cards. It'll be very fun. Some upcoming things, we have the World Mental Health Day event on October 10th. So this is a collaboration between the University Affairs portfolio and the Western Student Experience. Their main goal is to promote some of the on-campus mental health resources from the USC and Western. So from the USC, for example, we'll be promoting some of the services under student services. And then in terms of Free the Dot, so I'm working right now with the Advocacy Roundtable, the UA Standing Committee, to review the locations of Free the Dot dispensers, because we found that some dispensers have been installed in bathrooms that are very underutilized by students. So we want to see if we're able to move those dispensers to the bathrooms that are more utilized by students. And then I'm also working on implementing QR codes on each of the dispensers, so we can keep track of the usage of the machines and the frequency of the the frequency of the machines being used. And then we also have the Office of the Ombudsperson survey coming out. So Western's sending out a mass email survey to all students on this. And so for more background information, the Office of the Ombudsperson is an independent office from the USC and Western that supports students through the academic appeal process. And so the Ombudsperson is actually leaving. So the goal of this survey is now to inform future planning for the Office of the Ombudsperson, as well as to aid in the search of the future Ombudsperson. And then finally, in regards to the final grade deadlines policy, this was a roadmap item, so there's more information there, but we just want to advocate for a stricter policy on final grade deadlines. So I've had initial conversations with the Vice Provost Academic Programs and Registrar. They're both very on board, so I'm excited to see, or excited to do more advocacy work with them. But those are my updates. Thanks.
Are there any questions regarding, yes, Councillor Sarafiam?
All right, just a very quick question with regards to the ombudsman, more so clarification. You're saying the person is leaving and you're looking at what to do with the space. Is it just what to do in the space in the meantime till the next one gets hired, or what to do permanently with the space?
So they're hiring for a new ombudsperson because the current one is leaving, and so that'll be the surveys coming out basically to get student feedback on the office itself and figuring out like what are ways to improve it, and then through that they're going to hire a new ombudsperson and kind of work to improve the office itself as well. So it's kind of like the survey not just for the office but also to inform like hiring a new ombudsperson. If that makes sense, yeah.
Councillor John, do you have a question?
Yes, just very quickly, the final grades policy. What is the current policy and what are we going to change it to?
So the current policy, the last time it was revised was in 2009. It basically just states that for final grades, so professors to submit final grades, like they can ask for an extension if they need it from the deans of their faculties, but it doesn't go really into detail about like how long the extension is. There's no like, it doesn't really specify like a maximum extension, if that makes sense. And so students have been running into problems where they're receiving their grades very late into the next semester, for example, and students need these grades to apply for grad schools and for their second semester courses and whatnot. So we're just looking to see if we're able to advocate for a more stricter policy. So maybe that could look like so most professors like to submit grades when they have everyone's grades, and there are still students that have to do like makeup exams, for example. So maybe there's a way to do it so that we can give the students who still have to do makeup exams temporary grades, so that the students who already finished all their exams and everything aren't affected by that delay. But we're still like working it out I'll be working with the registrar and the Vice Provost Academic Programs on that, just figuring out like logistics, what that policy might look like. So yeah.
Are there any other questions regarding Vice President Batista's report? All right, thank you, Vice President Batista. I now invite Vice President Woodchist Johnson up to provide her report.
Hi, everyone. Is this okay? Yeah. Okay. Long time no see. Hope everyone's settling back into London nicely. In terms of my Ask Me About, I've got one of those little kits of like beads to start making bracelets over the summer, and it's like every time me and my roommates sit in my living room, I'm trying to think of like fun words, fun phrases to put onto bracelets. So that's my Ask Me About. Would love to talk about it. Top 3 highlights. First one, along with my other 2 execs that have gone so far, is O Week. Similar to Emily, I started in 2020 and I never soft, I never dawned, so it was my first orientation week experience in person, and it was so much fun, and Sarah did such a great job, and all the softs and all the dawns and everyone else involved did such a great job. Yeah, and it was really great to just be out there supporting Sarah, supporting everyone else involved. Yeah, my number 2 is meeting my portfolio. They had their first in-person training recently, and we'll be having our official onboarding later this week, so that's also been really exciting. Very happy to have both of them. I have the smallest portfolio, but I think we're small and mighty, and I'm so excited to get started. And then my third highlight has been USA campus visits. So as the president of USA, I get to go around and visit all of our 9 member schools throughout the year. And so far I've been to McMaster and Queens, which was so much fun to just kind of see how they operate, see how they run things, see their like student union offices. I spent Monday presenting at Queens's version of council, which was somehow less nerve-wracking because I didn't know them. And later, I think at the end of October, USA will be coming here for their campus visit here, which is also so exciting. In terms of updates, the federal budget submission is in. It was submitted on August 1st, so it was ratified by the Agenda Committee, but you can find it somewhere in the resources folder. We tried to connect it to themes of affordability while also making sure that it was recommendations that the federal government, we could actually see them implementing throughout their next budget cycle. And then we also tried to make sure that it was aligned with what other student unions and other student associations across the country are submitting, because of course the more people that ask for the same thing, the more likely it is to be implemented. I've also done a lot of my introductory meetings with several members of City Council, as well as our local MP and MPP. For those of you at O Week, you got to see them speak, which was also very exciting, and I think they were very happy to be there. We've been discussing my priorities for the year as well as theirs, and just ways that we can work together, what they want out of our relationship, how they can have a better relationship with students and therefore do their work better to serve students in London. Mariana also touched on this a lot, so I won't go too deep into it, but our fall cycle position papers, we're now collecting feedback. We have a focus group coming up, and would be so appreciated if you can fill out the feedback forms, but more importantly, circulate them to your council, circulate them to your friends. The more people we can get to fill them out, the stronger these position papers are going to be, and the better that they're going to be at reflecting student needs. So please do that. And then on the USA front, a lot of my time has been going there. We've been working on finalizing our annual action plan, which just summarizes our strategic and organizational priorities for the year as an organization, kind of lay out the groundwork for where we're going throughout the year. I've been working on my policy paper for USA, which will be up to be voted on at the Fall General Assembly. And again, campus visits, which I kind of already touched on. Upcoming, I'm working on planning Pints and Politics. My portfolio doesn't know this yet, but they're going to be helping me, and I'm very excited for that. It's going to be towards the end of October. It's just kind of a mix and mingle with our local politicians. You'll get to hear from them a bit, talk to them about the issues that you care about. So I think that's very exciting. General Assembly delegate hiring, and then, so you guys will be helping me with that today as well when you elect our delegates. But after that, I have to train them, I have to prep them, I have to make sure everyone's ready to go to Brock at the end of October, which I'm also so excited for. I keep saying that General Assembly is like my O Week, except I get 2 of them, which is extra exciting. So yeah, please stay engaged during those speeches, and I hope we elect some great delegates, but I know we will, because everybody talking is already great. So that's coming up. Get out the vote prep. For those of you who are following federal politics, it's looking like there very likely will be a federal election, if not in the fall, in the spring. When I wrote this, I was thinking fall. Now we're thinking spring. But yes, have a couple meetings in the next couple weeks to discuss how that's going to be implemented, because when they give us the news that the federal election is going to be happening, it's only 36 days until the election actually happens. So we just want to make sure that we're ready to mobilize students, make sure that as many students can get out there and vote as possible when that happens, /if. And then also the provincial budget submission. It hasn't opened yet, so there's no deadline, but I really want to make sure that it can be done on time. It can be done with a lot of student consultation. I can run it through my standing committee. Yeah, so we're going to start talking about that soon in the next month as well, and kind of start narrowing down those priorities. Any questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice President Woodchus-Johnson. I now invite Vice President Fullerton up to provide her report.
Hi, everyone. So one of my top 3 highlights, and the the highest highlight is Shocker a week. So this year went so well. I think I kept waiting for like the other shoe to drop and waiting for something to go wrong, but it never did. So I was super happy with the whole week, and obviously all the softs and everyone like O Crew that we added this year was just like insanely helpful, and definitely an integral piece of why a week went so smoothly. So I'm so thankful for everyone that devoted their time and energy and passion and everything to making a week a success. And even Alan Shepard himself said that this a week was the smoothest a week that he's seen since his time as president. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then we had the Josh Ross concert, which was, as many of you caught on and were talking to me about earlier today, was sponsored by Spotify, which is why we were able to make it free for students, which was really awesome. So we had lots of great feedback about the Josh Ross concert, so really happy with that. And then now I'm just planning for the year-long events, which have already begun. The Spoke and the Wave do a lot of their own programming, so that has pretty much started as soon as O Week finished. And now some of my programming has started, and now actually my first program will be starting in like 15 minutes. So that will be in the Spoke. We're doing monthly live performances. So those will happen the last Wednesday of every month. So unfortunately, we will probably not be able to watch them. But they'll be 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. If you want to encourage anyone you know to perform, we encourage art forms of all kind. And then the updates I have for you all, Talent Unleashed, that is what I was just talking about. That's the monthly performance night. There's lots of promo on it on the Instagram, and again, those will repeat every month throughout the remainder of the school year. The only exceptions are December and April, just because of exams. And then Meet Your Match. This was part of Emily's campaign platform as speed dating. We just kind of rebranded it so it seemed a bit less daunting, and also like less just about dating and more about like friends as well. So that we kind of piloted during O Week, and it was super successful. My OPAs, which stand for Orientation Programming Assistants, as well as my AVP, my Associate Vice President, worked really hard to make that a success, and it was so good. We had line going out the door. So we're pretty much going to be replicating the exact same format, just like changing some of the riddles and stuff that people do. So if they went to the one during O Week, they can go to the ones during the school year as well. So the first Meet Your Match will be October 9th, so that's a Wednesday. And then also upcoming, we have Soft Pub, which is going to be October 4th. The promo for that will be coming out. And then Art Crawl, which I'm super excited about. This is just a little passion project of mine. So obviously we're giving a lot of space for performance type artists to have like ability to perform. But all of the non-performing artists, so like photographers or painters, jewelry makers, etc., a lot of them don't necessarily have a platform. So this Art Crawl is going to happen on October 9th and October 10th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Concrete Beach. Hopefully the weather is nice. And the idea is just any students can come by, take a look at the art that our fellow students have created. And if we would like, we can also purchase them if the vendors are selling vendors. So yeah, it's just really to encourage all forms of art to be appreciated by Western students. And that's it for me. Thank you. Oh, questions? Anyone have questions? Cool.
Thank you, Vice President Fullerton. I now invite Vice President Clapper up to provide his report.
Hi, everybody. I want to apologize. First off, I forgot to add an ask me about. So ask me about anything, really. Seems a little awkward that it's left blank, but not everything, apparently. But ask me anything related to council, I suppose. I'd love to talk about the initiatives we're working on. So ask me about those. But my top three, at number one, I have Clubs Week. For those of you who were a part of Clubs Week, statistically, one of you has bound to walk through that at some point because I think there was close to 14,000 people in traffic throughout the week. So it was a huge, huge deal for us. Super successful. We had the most clubs ever this year, 222 ratified clubs spread throughout the atrium, the Mustang Lounge, and then also this year in the basement as well. We had to go a little extra because we ran out of space. So honestly, a positive thing for the club system. That just means that there's a lot of interest and a lot of people looking into making some clubs. So I'm excited for that. Number two, Josh Ross. Honestly, I had no part in planning Josh Ross, but I enjoyed being there. So I think it was something super awesome that the USC was able to do. For those of you who attended, I'm sure you experienced it as well. It was really fun, but shout out to Sarah and the rest of the team, full-time staff at the USC, who got that Spotify sponsorship and got that hooked up to make it free for students. Last but not least, I feel like I had to put O Week up there. This was my second O Week. Again, I didn't get one because I was in first year, lived at home. I joined the Zoom call for a couple minutes, but honestly left about halfway through when I realized it wasn't exactly what I expected. But this definitely made up for it because it was awesome and the team absolutely killed it. Like every single one of them, the softs, anyone who's involved, full-time staff, everyone put absolutely everything into it. Moving on to my portfolio, I have a few updates for you guys. So the first thing is the Peer AI Learning program is now underway. So I actually just finished the selection for the candidates from the instructors today. So those emails will be going out tomorrow for the people who applied. For those of you who don't know, the USC is putting out a program centered around AI now that we have a position to speak about it. So the program is going to be selecting 10 students from across various faculties. I'm aiming to pick 2 from each, so kind of to touch on the various sides, so business, science, the social sciences, engineering, computer science, and then have these students run monthly sessions in collaboration with Mark Daly, who is the Chief AI Officer over at Western University. So these sessions will be free to students, and they will be at the new entrepreneurship building. It'll essentially be an opportunity for students who have never used AI or have never really had the opportunity to learn anything about AI to come in and get a kind of very deep dive into it to know how to use it for school, how to use it in their academics, in their everyday life, kind of just exposing academics to artificial intelligence to kind of get Western's rep with AI up now that it's kind of become a part of our life that we're not going to get rid of. So those monthly sessions will be starting end of October, and then we have one again at the end of November. The first one's going to be around engineering, and the second one is going to be social science and research and writing. So very excited for that. Second update is that food support services are now up and running. So myself and my AVP, Wade over there, he's done a great job at getting everything set up. So we've made some changes to the food support services program this year. They've kind of added a little bit of items for clarity, kind of making it a little bit more organized. So we've switched to a full hamper system, so no longer any walk-ins, but we've added part-time staff who are now hired by the USC, who are working Mondays through Fridays, filling hampers and filling orders. We've also changed the way that we're going to be collecting data to kind of enhance the advocacy on food security on campus, so we're very excited about that. We're already receiving lots of hamper orders and filling them very quickly, so it's been a success so far. Following that, Peer Support Center is also up and running. We had to delay it by a week just because we used it for a week. It was super, super great to have the softs in there, very respectful of the space. But we're excited to have the Peer Support Center open and running as it should be. We've hired a team of nearly 40 volunteers this year. They were trained 3 weeks ago, and they're all highly qualified individuals who can speak to you if you need, help you out with any troubles that you might have. And this is an opportunity for you guys as well as counselors to talk to the students. And when you hear that there's like issues out there and they're not necessarily looking for professional help, they're not looking for counseling or for therapy, the USC has a peer support center where they can just talk to other peers and talk about their issues, go in there, hang out, have a snack, have a coffee, just relax a little bit. But moving on, Clubs Week, I touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but super successful, very excited for the planning for the ratification. So the club's governance board will be looking into ratifying the new clubs for this year. We also trained all of the club executives. We had around 1,200 executives throughout 2 days of training. So they were trained on how to be an executive, how to run financials, how to run an event, the HR policy, and then also how to run events on the new partnership with Bounce. So we had them come out and talk a little bit about how we're going to be running the new system there, which is super exciting. And then finally, the Professional Development Gala, which falls directly under Emily's platform point around professional development. The date has been solidified, so it's going to be on November 14th. The planning is well underway, so keep that out in your calendars. Again, something that you can promote for those of you under a faculty council. Going to be super huge. I'll probably be reaching out to all of you guys soon to kind of collaborate with you guys because it's a super great opportunity for your councils to come out and chat with students. So we're expecting a pretty good attendance of upper year students and it'll be an opportunity for those students to kind of explore the career opportunities, see what's out there, and this one in particular is going to be related to social science and business. Then in the second term, we will have one related to the STEM field. So hopefully this year we touch on everything and everyone comes away a little bit more prepared. Upcoming, as I mentioned, the first AI session will be happening soon, end of October, October 23rd, Professional Development Gala, November 14th, and World Mental Health Day on October 10th, which Mari mentioned. My team will be there a little bit promoting some of the mental health services that we offer. But yeah, that's about it from me. Barring any questions, I will continue. Thanks, guys.
Are there any questions for Vice President Clapper? All right, I now invite Vice President Menon up to provide her report.
Okay, hi everyone. I was boring and I put my ask me about is skincare because I was kind of panicking and didn't have one written out when we had to submit them. I got a new cleanser for the fall that I'm really excited about that anyone can ask me about. It's getting colder outside, so make sure you start incorporating your winter skincare and ask me about it. Okay. Okay, my top 3 highlights. Number 1, meeting all of my portfolio for the first time in person. So all of our portfolios are hired. Mari already mentioned that. But we had like our first in-person meeting. I'm really excited to work with them. I have a few familiar faces and some that I hadn't met before. So that's been really good, kind of getting them tasked on what we're going to be working on for the year. Number 2, Global Village during a week. This was an event that I got to have a pretty heavy hand in with, alongside with Sarah. So it was really good to like see that. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I did. So it was really cool to see something like you've been working on the whole summer come to life at a week, and I got some really good feedback from it. So I'm really happy with it. And number 3 has been designing campaigns with Rebecca. She is the public relations manager from the USC on the full-time staff side. Now that students are back, we're doing a lot more of like the engagement component of just like getting people more involved with our initiatives. So doing the planning of how you guys are gonna like what we're putting out there has been really fun to design. So those have been my highlights so far. Some updates. Okay, so this is what I was doing before. So OE Communications, I was meeting pretty routinely with Western Comm, Student Experience, and Housing to ensure that basically all the communications during OE went well. So that was like the social posts that we did, articles, app and website updates, and it all ran smoothly, and the feedback that we got was pretty great. We're still having some meetings going forward into the year of just like how to keep that going, keep the momentum going, and make sure it stays out strong for next year. Number 2 is Global Village at the Beach. This was an event that ran on September 11th and 12th, and it came out of Emily's platform point for the multicultural showcase / week. So basically what it was is on Concrete Beach on those 2 days, we had around 20 cultural clubs set up booths where they were able to promote their, kind of like a pre-clubs week, but it was just for cultural clubs. And there was performances, there was food, and yeah, it was just basically a way for cultural clubs to promote themselves before clubs week, just because we had a lot of reports of it being like kind of an overwhelming time and just wanting to do something to promote the diversity here at Western. And the event was really, really successful. We got a lot of great feedback, and while this was happening, we were also collecting feedback for the BIPOC and religious survey. And yeah, all around it was a great event. Building off of that, on the night of the 12th, we did an event at the Wave called Fusion Night. So that was basically like the after party to Global Village at the beach. It was a multicultural dance party at the Wave, and it featured like a DJ playing music from a bunch of different cultures. And it was completely free to attend, and it sold out on bounce. I'm saying that because it was free, but we did run out of tickets. And yeah, the feedback that we got from that was pretty good. But more importantly, the stuff that we got from that event, we're going to use to inform Sarah's like future planning. So anytime we do have another event later on, we have like a good basis at the beginning of the year of what people liked, what they didn't like, and yeah, just like we want feedback to inform everything that we do here. So that's pretty great. I've been meeting with some club executives over the course of September. So basically, I'm just trying to branch out to a lot of the clubs here on campus just to kind of get a two-way form of communication between the USC and them. So if they had any concerns about how their club is going to operate, or just basically have a way to administer feedback towards us. So I've met with the Serbian Student Council, Japanese Student Association, Chinese Student Association, Marathi Student Association, and yeah, that's it for now, to learn their goals for the year. The other major thing we've done for feedback is we've been working to collect feedback for students on O-Week programming. So basically during O-Week, I don't know if anyone was able to see, but on Concrete Beach, we had a booth stationed out the entire week, basically just asking students walking by what their favorite events were, if they were having like a good successful transition to campus, and in general, how much they know about the USC. And it's something that we're going to continue doing throughout the year with just like different topics. So yeah, overall, pretty good September. Upcoming, okay, yeah. So USC Day, Mari touched on this a little bit. It's an event that we're having next week on October 3rd. And basically this is just an event that promotes all the services, the advocacy, and the events that the USC does. So all the portfolios will have a booth out there. We'll also have some of the full-time staff out there. And we're just basically giving out like merchandise, free samples of food, but we're also going to use this opportunity to collect feedback from the general students on the roadmap. So something we want to do is like make sure that students are engaged with the roadmap and what we're doing, but also have a way to administer if they like what they're seeing from us. Emily already kind of mentioned this, but yeah, the Indigenous lacrosse game for Truth and Reconciliation is happening on October 2nd. And it is a varsity game between Western and Laurier, so please do come out. It's at 8 p.m. I think there actually is a council meeting. No. Never mind. So please come out. It'll be great. And yeah, so right now I'm just working on the comms and the engagement aspect of it to get students to come out. The USC Varsity Games, this is an initiative that also came out of Emily's platform point, but basically we just want to get more students to attend the varsity games on campus. So we're going to be working pretty closely with Sports and Rec to get more students involved. The USC Voice relaunch. So I mentioned this during the summer, but basically if any of you have been on the USC Voice website, it needs some help. So I've been working pretty closely with the web development intern at the USC to basically make it much more accessible and user-friendly. And we're going to do a proper relaunch at the end of October for it. And lastly, World Food Day. It's a collaboration with the University Affairs of Portfolio, and I'm just working on the logistic planning of this day, of like what booths we're going to have, who's going to be in attendance, and also the engagement piece of how we're basically just going to make students understand the point of World Food Day, which is to advocate for sustainability around food and food insecurity. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Any questions? Cool.
Thank you, Vice President Menon. I now invite Ethan Barry from the Board of Directors to provide a report.
I apologize for bringing my laptop up here. I'll print it off next time. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting a lot of you, so I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Ethan Barry. I have the privilege of chairing the Board of Directors for the 2024-2025 school year. As chairperson, I'm here to just give a kind of a refresher on what the board does exactly within this organization. We are primarily focused on the corporate side of the USC, whereas you are all focused on the advocacy of a general student experience. So I'll just go over some of our main responsibilities quickly. So we provide high-level oversight to the USC's corporate finances and operations. This can include things from human resources, corporate policies, audits, investments, capital expenditures, and also legal things as well. Additionally, we are responsible for the overall risk management of the organization, specifically relating to financial, legal, and reputational matters. This is why before any major decisions are made in accordance with the previous things that I just listed, they are typically brought to the Board of Directors for approval. This is where the board acts as a sober second thought to management, and we analyze and question management reports basically from the lens of a student perspective. So overall, the board holds fiduciary duty to stakeholders, who is all of the Western students, and it is our responsibility to ensure that the corporate decisions align with the mission of the USC and reflect the long-term goals of the organization. So I just want to talk a bit about what we've done over the past summer, just because I know you guys are all itching to hear about that. So we did our board of directors conference. This is an annual event, and it's dedicated to essentially training the incoming class of directors and also acts as a refresher for the existing directors. So during this year's BOCO, we met with the organization's lawyers. They did a presentation on legal risks and additionally on governance from the perspective of the board. We also completed a case study related to reputational risk management and concluded the weekend with our first formal board meeting alongside the new directors. Since BOCO, we've continued to make strides in enhancing our abilities as directors. Actually, this past Friday, we held 2 training sessions that were optional for the board of directors members, and we actually had full attendance, which was awesome. The first one was with our auditors at PwC, who provided a presentation on audit and as well as governance. The second one was a presentation on sustainable investments, and that was provided to us by our money managers at TD as well as NEI Investments. So I just want to talk a bit about kind of the time period from BOCO until now. We've had some subcommittee meetings. For all of you guys that are not aware, the board of directors operates a bit kind of fragmented in terms of the committees. We have 9 directors, and each of our main committees, which are finance, governance, and HR, 3 directors are allocated to each committee. So I'm just going to go briefly through the items that were discussed at our last committee meetings. This is as of information that we talked about at our board meeting on September 13th. So, you know, I actually noticed we were talking about earlier the EDI committee. So that was something that we talked about. So it's cool that that's actually coming to fruition. I don't know the word. Okay, so I'll start with the finance committee because that's everybody's favorite and everybody loves accounting. So the finance committee met earlier this month where management presented us with the organization's financial statements for July. There were some large variances, and specifically that was accounts receivable, accounts payable, and accrued charges. But these variances are essentially just related to the timing of things. I can use the example of the accounts payable. There was a 354% variance, but that's just because last July we had paid a bill already that we didn't pay this year. Or I think it was the opposite way around. So our payables were like in really good shape comparatively to last year, but that doesn't necessarily reflect anything because we're still going to pay that amount at some point. So overall, I can say that the organization is in a very strong financial position. Additionally, one of the things that we're talking about at the finance committee level is repositioning the committee to focus on the kind of the long-term trends instead of, again, it kind of addresses just what I was talking about, that variance thing. When you look at month to month, we always, it's literally every meeting where we have that issue where we have to decide, okay, what's that variance? And it's the same kind of thing over and over again, where it's just based off the timing of when the actual transactions occur. So one of the changes that we're trying to make right now is stepping back and looking at it from a bigger picture, and hopefully we'll have better results in terms of trend analysis. Yeah. So I'll move on to the governance committee right now. So they met earlier this month to discuss policy calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. This just reflects all the corporate policies that are up for review during this year, consisting of about 24 policies at the moment. Additionally, we reviewed the board of attendance policy. There was a reoccurring theme within the policy where the chair, that being myself, was essentially just tasked with enforcing the policy, but there wasn't anybody to enforce the policy against me. So that just ended up, I took a step back in terms of like the discussion there, and it just divulged into like, how can we reprimand Ethan if he's late to meetings and stuff like that. But we did come to a decision, and there is actually now a process in place. So essentially, if there is an attendance policy error on my behalf, the vice chair is the one who enforces it against me. So I'm sure we're all happy to hear that. At the HR committee, We met earlier this month to discuss the establishment of the USC EDI committee, as we are looking forward to talking about in a bit. The areas of focus were just the addition of the associate VPs to the committee and adjusting the meeting cycles to the quarterly instead of the monthly. At the time of this report, the committee was not yet complete, and it's not yet complete now, I guess. And it was a task that was given to management to find a way to appoint an AVP, a coordinator, an intern, and a student representative to complete the actual committee. So it looks like we're making strides to do that, so that's good. In conclusion, I just want to acknowledge that this is my first time doing this. I know you probably weren't aware, but I am kind of open to a lot of feedback in the sense of like, what do you guys want to see out of me this year in terms of the reports? Do you want to be more detailed, or do you want to be more high level and stuff like that? Just reach out to me and let me know, and I'm happy to accommodate. So in closing, the board of directors remains committed to overseeing the organization's long-term success while maintaining a collaborative and transparent relationship with management. As we all know, the mission statement of the USC is students have the power to change the world, but we have to give them the opportunity to do so. And I stole that from the COO, so don't tell him I said that. I am looking forward to the year. I think we have the opportunity to do a lot of good for the Western students, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So that's all that I have to say. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer them now. I think we're good. Sweet. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We will now move on to our for action section of the agenda with our first motion, the motion to elect one counselor to the EDI committee. The motion reads, be it resolved that council elect one member to sit on the EDI committee. Can I please have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Lee. Are there any questions related to this motion? Are there any points of debate related to the motion? And are there any objections to the motion? Okay. I will now open the floor up for nomination. So councillors, if you would like to nominate yourself, you can just raise your placard and I'll just call you. Councillor Ridley, Councillor Ejam, Councillor Ahmed, councillors that are self-nominating, can you keep your placard up, please? Okay, so I have Councillor Smith, Councillor Ejam, and Councillor Ahmed. Are there any other councillors that would like to self-nominate at this time? Okay, the nomination period will now close. So just as a reminder from what I said earlier, we will conduct this election via ranked ballot. Each candidate will be provided 2 minutes of the floor's time to provide their addressments, and candidates will present in alphabetical order by last names. And we will have no question and answer period. So to start, I will call up Councillor Ahmed. You have 2 minutes of the floor's time if you'd like to come up.
Hello, so my name's Saad and I'm the Ivy representative to USC Council. Why do I think I'd be good for this role? I think EDI has been something super important to me my entire life. Like, I've been a SOF for 3 years. So one of the most important things to me as a SOF is ensuring students come here and feel welcome, and not just welcome, but they feel safe and they feel like they have equal opportunity on this campus. So for me, EDI, just because of that, is hugely important. I think for myself, selfishly too, like EDI is important to me. Like, I grew up as a Muslim, gay, brown man. Like, I know for me, like, I've had to look through different lenses in my life and I've had to experience different things, and I want to ensure EDI is something that's able and like capable for everyone to access at the school. I think just looking at the mandate of the EDI committee, where it's coming up with policy and creating procedures to create programs and stuff that represent EDI. In the past, in my high school, I was the president of our equity committee as well. So over there, we created a lot of policy. We took feedback from students and we worked to create policy with our principals. And we also created training sessions for diversity, which were really successful and had like an 85% satisfaction rate back in the day. I think the coolest thing I've worked on at EDI though is when I was working with the National Hockey League on their inclusion committee. And if you know anything about hockey, you know that they need some more inclusion there and they need some EDI help there. So I think that was definitely one of the biggest undertakings I've done. I worked about 10 hours a month on that. And compared to this committee, it's about 2 to 3 hours a month. So for that, we've created a lot of programs within hockey. We created a whole youth hockey league that was focused on EDI. We worked with consulting organizations to help with creating EDI training sessions for hockey players. And in general, we took a lot of data, a lot of feedback. So for me, I have so much experience with this. EDI is super important to me. And yeah, I hope you can see my passion. This is something that's super important to me, like I said. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I will now call up Councillor Ejam to provide her addressment to Council.
Hello everyone, my name is Jenna and I'm a science counselor, and to kind of explain a little background about me about why I'm so passionate about EDI, it definitely has to do with my upbringing. So when I was 4 years old, I moved to Saudi Arabia because of my dad's job, and I ended up living there for 14 years in an extremely multicultural international community there with up to 70 different nationalities at my high school. So it definitely really made me value diversity and inclusivity in EDI in general. And coming here, I've been extremely involved with Western International, which over the past 3 years, which has earned me the global and intercultural honor at Western. And it's been really amazing working as an international peer guide, international orientation lead volunteer, Western International ambassador, and getting to meet people from extremely diverse backgrounds, working with people with very different lived experiences. So EDI has been really important in that sense for me. I'm also an EDI champion, which is a Western EDI office initiative that they started, which they have a team of 30 people right now, and we meet quarterly already right now to work on initiatives. So that's something I'm very passionate about, getting to discuss people with many different backgrounds across Western campus, which is really cool. And then also I am currently an ideas executive on the Pangea Club, which is the first multicultural club at Western, which is inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility, which is the committee that I'm a part of. So it's been really cool getting to work on research and on policies, and kind of getting to create statements and work with the team in that sense to create initiatives advocacy-wise. And yeah, I think EDI in general, because of my background and kind of my experiences, it's been something super important for me. It was actually also one of my platform pillars running for my advocacy positions as a counselor this year and also a 2-time senator. So overall, if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about EDI, and I would love this opportunity to kind of collaborate with the committee to kind of make campus more inclusive and equitable. Thank you.
I will now call up Councillor Smith to provide his addressment.
I'm just gonna make sure. Oh, perfect. Oh. Hello, everyone. My name is Ridley Smith, and I am a King's counselor. I'm also, fun fact, the Vice President of Student Affairs for the King's University College Students' Council. So, a little bit like a background of who I am in the spirit of how lived experiences can shape someone's opinion, someone's experience with EDI. I am a queer disabled student at King's, and I have experienced multiple barriers throughout my life. In fact, there was actually a point in my life where I didn't think I was where I didn't think I was actually going to be able to go to university at all. Thankfully, I am now the second person in my family to actually make it to university, so I consider that a little accomplishment for myself. In terms of my experience with EDID and non-for-profits, I've been volunteering with non-for-profits honestly since I was about 8 years old. just compete with the food bank. I've done fundraising for service dogs, like to break barriers for kids with autism, as well like the anxiety of spirits in the classroom. In addition, throughout my life, because of these barriers, I've gained experience with like the issues that people will arise if they have any sort of barriers, any disabilities, anything along those lines. In addition, in my role as a student leader, I've gained a extensive experience in terms of operationalizing, that's a difficult word for me, I apologize. Operationalizing student feedback in a way that is concise and effective. I thank you for all your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. And so thank you to all of the nominees. We will be posting right now on Slack the link for you to proceed to vote. Councillor Gleed, yes?
We're proxies for Margaret Gleed and Asha Saha. Could we have them emailed to us instead?
Yes, we will have it emailed.
Actually, she doesn't have access to the email. Is it possible to put it in the Google Doc?
Okay, we'll email it to you. Yeah, Councillor Malabanan.
Can I also get a copy for Councillor Vanderloo?
Yes. Councillor Malabanan, can you please use your Western email to vote on Councillor Vanderloot's behalf? Okay. Sorry, I can't see the name. Councillor Lubano? Okay, for all of the proxies, we will email it to you right now. For all proxies, we've also posted it in the agenda. So if you don't have it on your email, you can access it via the meeting agenda. Councillor Pandia, if you can also please use your UWO email for Councillor Sheh, that would be great. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Malabanan. Yes, Councillor. Wait, I'm sorry. Everyone, shh, sorry. Sorry, can you repeat yourself? You should put your you can just put your UWO email. That's fine. Yeah, thank you.
I might, I don't know. Hey, I can't do it.
Okay, I'm going to motion to recess until 8:30, so we will resume with the results then.
Okay.
We've made that.
It's gonna work.
Come meet people.
Good, man. I should have shut up.
Okay, counselors, we're going to resume now, so please return to your seats.
Thank you.
Call to order. Okay, this meeting is resumed. Congratulations to Councillor Ahmed, who was successfully elected. Thank you again to all of the nominees. Please proceed to Echo 360 to vote to ratify this motion. The motion passes. We will now move on to our next motion, the motion to elect 9 delegates to the OUSA Fall General Assembly. Before we proceed, the DRO will have the floor to explain the election.
Hey, checking, yeah. Hey everybody, I'm Bhumit and I'm serving this year as the DRO for the USC. So just here to introduce the OUSA ballot. So today you will have 13 candidates, and for the candidates you each will have 2 minutes to speak, and there will be no Q&A period. And after those 13 minutes we will have a voting, and for the ballot it will be same as the ranked ballot, and it will be a little different because it's an external voting. So all the eligible voters, you might have received the voting link to your UWO emails. So when all the speeches are done and it's time to vote, what you will do, you will just log into that link, use your UWO email, and you will be on the provincial balloting system where you can rank the 9 candidates in the order you want. And additional note for proxies, since it's external election, proxies will not be allowed to vote. I feel that's all I have, and I'm open to any questions if I have regarding the OUSA elections. Yeah, Emily. President Collegian.
Kidding. Kidding. My question is, for me, will it go to my president's email or my UWO? Because I don't technically.
It will go to your president email, I think, or UW, but you will log in using your UW credentials.
So like use my old student one?
I feel that, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if not, you can also log into Western USC Simply Voting, and then you can log in using your UW credentials.
Okay.
Perfect. Any more questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, The motion reads as follows. Whereas the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance is a student-led organization and advocates on student-directed policy recommendations, whereas its policy papers are approved by student delegates at General Assemblies following review and discussion, be it resolved that Council elect 9 delegates to represent Western at the OUSA Fall General Assembly in 2024 of October. Can I please have a seconder to introduce this motion? Councillor Matasako. Are there any questions about this motion? President Kalajian.
Just a point of information, I just want to have Michelle just go over like the premise of USA and just kind of explain exactly what it is. I know everyone in the room probably has an idea, but just hearing it from the president herself, I think would be a great way to kind of kickstart this, so I'll give her the floor.
Are there any objections to that? Okay, Vice President Witches-Johnson, if you would like to give the information.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, I kind of went over what USA is at the last meeting, but just super briefly, it's a coalition of 9 other student associations from across Ontario, so us and 8 other schools. Twice a year, USA hosts what's called a General Assembly, or GA for short, where each school sends a number of delegates that's proportional to their number of students. So we're one of the biggest schools in USA. We have one of the largest delegations, similar to the way that council is made up. And today you're electing the representatives who attend this conference in the fall. And then also, so again, as explained in the motion, they go to debate and vote on 3 policy papers that USA will then use in order to lobby the provincial government. And the 3 policy papers this fall are student financial aid, environmental sustainability, and then there's a paper responding to the Blue Ribbon Panel report, which essentially covers how to keep the university sector financially sustainable. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. Okay, are there any questions about this motion? Are there points of debate regarding this motion? Are there any objections to the motion? Okay, we will now hear from the OUSA delegate candidates. We will first hear from Nathan, if you would like to come up.
Sorry, it's just so hard to read my laptop from here. Okay. Good evening, councilors. My name is Nathan Ayala. As some of you may know, I served as a social science counselor on this floor last year, so it's great to be back. I am in my 3rd year specializing in commercial aviation management and majoring in political science. I'm also currently working as an external affairs coordinator for the USC under Michelle. Throughout my time as a social science counselor and now as an external affairs coordinator, I've had the opportunity to engage with many issues that matter most to students, from financial accessibility and to sustainability, and I sat on the external affairs committee last year. These experiences have reinforced my belief that effective advocacy can lead to meaningful change, and I want to take that passion to the USA General Assembly in October. Student financial aid, environmental sustainability, and responding to the Blue Ribbon report are important to me. I've seen firsthand how financial barriers can limit a student's potential, and I'm eager to contribute to discussions that aim to make post-secondary education more affordable and accessible for all. Additionally, with the growing need for climate action, I believe institutions must prioritize environmental sustainability, and I want to be a part of the effort to push for impactful policies in this area. My time on the External Affairs Committee last year has given me a unique perspective on university governance and policy reforms, particularly the Blue Ribbon Report. This experience has underscored the significant role of panel recommendations in shaping institutional policies. The report covers many topics, some of which I've had firsthand experience with in a summer role, such as international students when I was a border officer with the Canada Border Services Agency. And I'm eager to bring my unique perspectives and experiences to the discussion table at the General Assembly, and I look forward to collaborating with everybody and to bring about meaningful change. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Brooklyn.
How to say it. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I must first say that it is an honor to be up here tonight, showing my passion for both advocacy and for the policies that govern us. My name is Brooklyn Begg. I'm a third year pursuing an honors double major of English and sociology, and I'm here tonight to prove that I am capable of being a delegate for Western students at USA. There's no other way of saying it. I love being an activist. And it's not just a title I use lightly. Being an activist means understanding one's positionality within all the complex systems that keep us in place and disassembling the barriers that are set in between. That's why we work from the foundations that keep us, such as policy. I began being heavily involved with policy during my time with Western's Model United Nations. There, I learned about policies affecting individuals and students, like us, engaged how to be a professional yet outspoken delegate. Although I honed some great skills, I didn't feel like I was truly making an impact. So I joined the Social Science Student Council and became an engagement coordinator last year, where I worked on issues concerning students of the faculty, and I loved it. This position led me to being elected as a senator at large, being hired as a policy research analyst for the SSSC during this current year, and being Mariana Batista's current academic coordinator, which I say with so much pride. In all of these positions, I work with and around academic and university policy. Additionally, I familiarized myself with the 3 policy papers that were noted. I briefed the sustainability paper and assisted the brief of the financial aid paper through my prior position on social science, and have observed how universities have been placing budget cuts to beloved programs tying into the Blue Ribbon Panel report. I am pursuing a degree in one of those programs being cut. So, another fun fact about me is that all of these experiences come down to being a teacher at my former high school. So, when it comes down to it, I have seen students at all levels and one, and would love to apply my knowledge and expertise to better the regulations that surround us all. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Marek.
All right, hi there. So, I believe that you should choose me as one of your USA delegates, but first off, let me introduce myself. My name is Merrick Brooking. I am in my 4th year of political science. I am also co-chair of NEP Western. So, kind of the main experience that I have, I don't have that much USC experience, to be frank with you, but that does make up in external experience. So, one of those would be with the Sustainable Finance Lab at Ivy, which I did a lot of sustainability policy, and more prominently on the Green Belt, a lot of policy on the Green Belt. And with that, I was able to connect with a lot of student groups, so I do understand a lot of the conversation going on around sustainability and a lot of the policy-related stuff like that. I also had the pleasure of working for an MPP, so I understand a lot about kind of provincial programs and what can be done to improve them. And all in general, the most important thing is that I was able to talk to a lot of Western and Fanshawe students about the current situation of student supports, which was very insightful because they told me a lot of things that I didn't really consider before. So there's a lot of that, and I think I bring an interesting perspective for that reason, because a lot of these kind of students are just kind of trying to get by. They don't get really involved in activism, so I think it's pretty good that I was able to bring those I will be able to bring those unheard perspectives. And generally, I'm just very enthusiastic about policy, and yeah, thank you.
Next, we will hear from Margaret. It will be a video, as Margaret couldn't join us in person tonight. It's just loading. Apologies for the delay.
So actually, the first meeting is not even supposed to be done. Okay, but the meeting would not be done
Okay. I'm going to motion to recess so we can figure this out for 5 minutes.
On business ethics research and implications in
Are you a I can get on the ride if you want. Yeah, that works. Does that work? I can get you to I don't know. That was me like this, and now we're taking it. Okay, good. Let's go.
I call this meeting back to order. Please sit down. All right, welcome back, Council. So we will now hear from Margaret.
Hi everyone, my name is Margaret Gleed and I am a fifth-year student here at Western pursuing a dual degree with the SASA program in philosophy and the Ivy Business School with a focus on business ethics research and implications in real-world application. I am applying to be one of your USA delegates for this year. I have never been to USA before. I have never had the capacity to take on an opportunity quite like this before. And I'm really excited to just be putting myself forward for this position. I think my academic background in business ethics would be a very useful skill when it comes to policy and making recommendations and listening to everyone and every person's stake in the recommendations that we make. Part of looking at policy and looking at the viability of it is taking into account the different stakeholders who may be against what we're recommending and making sure that the common ground that we find between those, say, adversaries and the students that we're representing is making sure we can understand both sides of it and come to a reasonable conclusion that doesn't sacrifice the well-being of the students we represent, but also doesn't present any logical barriers for the people that would oppose our recommendations. I think my background in business ethics is something that would be incredibly useful on the USA floor. And I also have a background in public speaking and communications. I have done speaking events in front of thousands of people, and I'm extremely comfortable putting myself in that vulnerable position when advocating or when expressing the needs of certain people. I have 2 years of experience now working with the University Student Council and advocating for my faculty as Arts and Humanities Student Council President and making sure that one of the smallest faculties on Council, Arts and Humanities, does have a voice on the university floor. And so I'm looking for this as an opportunity to combine all of those experiences and all of those skills to best advocate for students on the USA floor.
Next, we will hear from Layla.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie and I'm currently a fourth-year student.
I lied. Next, we will hear from Sophie.
Student studying business and psychology here at Western. Now, over the past few years, I've had the absolute privilege of working in spaces that have allowed me to be involved in student advocacy. In my first and second year, I was on the Social Science Students Council and now am a coordinator on the USC as well as a residence don. I'm super grateful that in these roles, I've been able to connect with students from many diverse backgrounds as well as get a greater understanding of the challenges that these students face. One issue in particular that really speaks to me is financial wellness. Just like many other students, I found my tuition to be very unaffordable, and I've had to rely on OSAP. But navigating the process of getting OSAP has been frustrating and stressful, and unfortunately, I know that's not a unique experience to me. I think it's really important that we push for greater financial literacy and make financial aid more accessible to students in Ontario. On the other hand, I'm also passionate about sustainability. In my work with the USC and in residence life, I've done several initiatives that have helped promote sustainability on campus and in residence, but I think it's really important that we continue this conversation about what sustainability should look like on campus. And I'm really eager to be part of this conversation.
Now, last year, I actually had the absolute privilege of being a delegate for USA, and I've learned so much about policy and advocacy, but I also recognize there's so much room for me to grow and learn, and I'm really willing to continue to expand on how I can be a better student advocate. I really, really would love to represent students again, Western students in particular, and I really hope you can give me this opportunity to listen and learn from other delegates and contribute to important conversations that will actually make a difference for students in Ontario. My name is Sophie, and thank you so much for your time.
Next, we will hear from Layla.
So my name is Leila Elizabeth Ahmed Hashi, and here's why I think I should be the next Western representative at the General Assembly coming up. Okay, so starting off, I come from low-income housing from Kitchener-Waterloo, so I went from a very ethnically, like everyone's the same, social class, all of that, elementary K-8 school to high school where it's predominantly all white, and most people had money. I was pretty ashamed, so I went from having such a set clear of who I am as a person to feeling completely ashamed and like I have to conform to all the social norms that were going on at the time, 2018, 2022. But yeah, so going from there to Western, there wasn't too much of a culture shock, but it was just like, wow, people have nerve. Like, I lived in Delaware, and so people would come up to me and be like, oh, what's up, my N-word, or microaggress me for wearing a bonnet, for going to sleep and just having curly hair. And so the racial barriers I had to experience, as well as financial, which I discovered a quarter way through first semester. OSUP took away $2,000 of my money and my funding without informing me, and due to that, I had to take away $2,000 of my own money. I pay for university and everything myself. My parents they just can give me a smile and a nod, and that's about it. So due to that, I had nothing. I would eat less than a meal a day, all because I had to pay for school, which is okay. Yes, that's a privilege, but no student should have to go through that, as well as due to all of that nonsense, my grades were going down and I failed a few classes. But now going up, I'm in third year, so I'm doing very well for myself, financial wise as well as racial wise, and with academics. But I don't want any other student to have to experience any kind of unfortunate nonsense that I had to experience. So yeah, that's why, because I went through these obscene, absurd things, I believe that I can make a difference and use my voice to better Western students and take away all of these barriers that impact students like me and everyone. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Belinda.
Hi, my name is Belinda, and I'm currently in my 5th year at Ivy Business School, also completing my sustainability certificate. I'm sorry for not being there in person, as of a class called How to Change the World, and that's exactly what I want to do as an USA delegate, help change the world for students. As a student who relies on OSUP's grants and loans, I have first-hand experience with the financial pressures students face. For my 2nd, 3rd, and now final year, I've worked as a residence don while balancing full-time studies. Through this role, I've seen how challenging it is for students to juggle tuition, living expenses, academic responsibilities, and more. This experience has highlighted the importance of policies that promote affordability and accessibility, themes central to responding to the Blue Ribbon Panel report, and pushing for recommendations like greater grant percentages for low-income students or income-based repayment structures and extended grace periods. In my role on the Residence Life Staff Advisory Committee, I've gained valuable insight into the financial challenges faced by resident staff too. I advocate for fair compensation and financial support, including lower meal plan and room rates. Another area I'm deeply committed to is sustainability. My passion started for it in the 4th grade when I participated in Earth Day, and that drive continued into university. From my first year through my term as president of Enactus Western, I've driven initiatives like Roll Up, a wheelchair recycling program that targets both sustainability and financial accessibility. As a past sustainability representative for housing, I helped launch Trash Talkers to help educate students on sorting food waste and ran the Free Store Initiative, an upcycling program that provides students with donated items at no cost. As an USA delegate, I would advocate for policies that not only address financial aid, like increasing grant accesses, improving payment structures, but also sustainability initiatives, such as divestment from fossil fuels, improvement from waste management, and promoting sustainable curriculum programs across campuses. I look forward to working with like-minded students and advocating for policies that create a tangible and positive impact. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Ria. Okay, never mind. Next, we will hear from Wade.
Thank you, Mateen. Can everybody hear me? Hi, my name is Wade. I'm in my 4th year of International Relations. I'm also the AVP Daniel Clapper, so shout out to Student Services. We are hiring, by the way, so please tell your faculties. I'm gonna plug that. We need more applications for a number of things. So I've wanted to be an USA delegate for a while, but I chose to apply to this GA because I'm really interested in the environmental sustainability and student financial aid papers. So a little bit about myself is I grew up in downtown Windsor, 1 block away from Southwestern Ontario's largest unhoused shelter and food bank. And that motivated me to eventually apply as a volunteer to Food Support Services. And now working in the Student Services portfolio, I have a lot of background and see daily what it's like for students who are suffering and who are suffering from the current affordability crisis. I think that it's important to know why you want to go to USA, which is to represent Western students and to represent the ideas you believe will make our institutions better, and to also represent your own experiences and, sorry, I'm just getting a little caught up. Sorry about that. See, I feel very confident when I'm stepped just 1 foot to the right, but behind a podium I can get kind of nervous. So I want to use that experience of working in student services to inform how I'm advocating for improved student financial aid. In the student services portfolio, I see that newcomers to Canada, students in the student refugee program, and first-generation students are disproportionately suffering due to the affordability crisis, and we need to reform the way that students are able to access OSAP. And there's an accessibility issue because they don't have people informing them on how to apply for grants like that. I also sit on the President's Advisory Committee for the Environment and Sustainability with Western, which is a group that gives out hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants to student groups around Western to make our campus more sustainable. Having that background information on what Western is doing to make our campus more environmentally sustainable would also...
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Next, we will hear from Noah.
All right, so to start off, Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matters." Something that matters to me is biking to campus every day. On sunny days like today, from September to January, you'll see me biking through campus. Through this, I've come to understand the challenges and gaps in the biking infrastructure around campus, as well as the broader issues surrounding sustainable transport in our city. Especially now that we're experiencing road closures within our campus, this is why I'm particularly excited about the environmental sustainability policy paper at the upcoming USA General Assembly. I'm eager to contribute to discussions on how we can improve sustainable transit options for students at the provincial level. In addition to sustainability, I am also passionate about the student financial aid policy paper. I firmly believe that every student should have the opportunity to attend post-secondary institutions regardless of their financial backgrounds. Programs like needs-based financial aid ensure that all students, regardless of their circumstances, can access, feel supported, and succeed in post-secondary institutions. Regarding the Blue Ribbon report, my top priorities will be affordability and student wellness. I believe that financial sustainability for institutions should never come at the expense of student well-being. I'm committing to advocating for these values during discussions at USA. My name is Noah Matsukawa, and I'm proud to serve with you all as a science counselor. Before I finish, I'd like to share a bit about myself. Over the past few years, I've gotten the privilege of being a resident SOF and LST at Alumgate in Bayton, which allowed me to connect with first years and the transition into this new university experience. I'm also co-founder and co-president of Pangea, where I've seen firsthand the importance of supporting diverse groups of students. I'm committing to driving meaningful change and ensuring that voices of Western students are heard at the provincial level. Thank you for considering my candidacy, and I hope to earn your support as a delegate, as we remain empowered together and stronger as one.
Next, we will hear from Shivoham.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shivoham Nar, and I'm privileged to stand before you today as a candidate for Western's USA delegation. I hope to use this platform as a way to share why I believe I'm qualified to advocate on behalf of Western students and improve higher education across Ontario. As a law and undergraduate student pursuing an HBA and JD dual degree, I studied political science at Social Sci for 2 years, business at Ivy, and now I'm studying law. When it comes to representing Western students, I can speak to the various experiences of students across faculties firsthand, bringing a unique perspective to this team. I'm committed to advocating on the key areas of this delegation: improving student financial aid, environmental sustainability, and reviewing the recommendations from the Blue Ribbon panel. In regards to financial aid, I'm a business student. I know finance. Although I'm not technically a finance bro, during my time in government relations and nonprofit management, I learned how to build and strengthen relations with provincial ministers who acquire funding for nonprofit firms. A key skill in improving financial aid for students is this ability to speak with ministers and MPPs and other legislators. My experience in the Trade Ministry at Global Affairs Canada taught me how to promote sustainable practices in various industrial sectors, nationally and internationally. I hope to use this knowledge to prioritize green initiatives and sustainable policies for universities across the province. And being skilled in policy development, I've authored and presented policy recommendations and position papers to municipal governments and federal officials, giving me the skills necessary to review the contents of the Blue Ribbon panel. As an active member of the Western community, I am certain that I can effectively advocate on behalf of Western students and have the competencies needed to discuss the topics of this assembly. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
Next, we will hear from Mauritius.
Hello. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mauritius Seraphim, and it's a pleasure standing in front of you here today. And I'm very excited to be running to be one of your next USA delegates. I want to expand my advocacy. I want to represent the Western students and expand my advocacy for the first time ever to beyond just Western and to students in all universities across Ontario. Over the last 4 years, I've been involved in councils, be it the Science Council or the University Council, and advocacy has been very important to me. One of the biggest advocacy roles I've had was last year as a VP academic on the SSC. It helped me develop a passion for advocacy and policy work. That was because I analyzed proposed changes to academic programs, I gathered student feedback, and I had to negotiate with university undergraduate chairs, administration, and deans, sometimes being one of the only students in the room, speaking for the student voice, even when they didn't agree in the start, to get them to agree and show them the student input. Part of my reasons for running is to transition from campus-specific issues to larger systemic ones. Some of the papers that are going on as VP Wood just said, are the student financial aid and student financial aid reform paper. It assesses how would I say it? The financial accessibility crisis currently experienced in higher education, and having already engaged with budgeting and funding allocation in my student leadership roles, I would love to contribute to this discussion. Furthermore, with regards to the environmental sustainability that we will be looking at, a growing personal concern for me, while not directly something I have worked on in the past, I bring strong skills in policy analysis and stakeholder engagement, which is something I would like to see through as a delegate. The Blue Ribbon Panel on Post-Secondary Education and Financial Sustainability emphasizes sustainable university funding frameworks and student success. My background in budgetary projects and money allocations has this focus, and I aim to contribute to USA's policy in post-secondary funding. And with that, I hope you consider me. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Michael. I will now defer my speaking rights back to the DRO to remind Council about procedures regarding this election.
Hi guys, so since the ballot was prepared, so there are two names of candidates, Ria Kaushal and Michael Zhao. Since they don't appear today, so please be mindful to not rank them. And just regarding the voting, so for the voting, the deadline is midnight. So you have until today midnight. Anytime you'll feel free to vote. And just to remind again, proxies are not eligible to vote. And also ineligible voters might have not have received the voting link. And regarding the results, result will be announced tomorrow and successful candidates will be contacted by us by tomorrow. And the council will be let known of the result by mail. Any questions? And again, just to remind councillors who are running, you're the one who don't have voting lines and you might have not received any link for voting. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you to the candidates. There will be no questions at this time. Councillors, you may now proceed to your UWO email to access the Simply Vote link. As the DRO said, polls will remain open until midnight tonight, and results will be communicated to the successful candidates via email through the DRO or the CRO tomorrow. Council will be informed of the voting results via email shortly after. Finally, Council, to ratify the motion, please go to Echo 360 to vote. The motion passes. We will now move on to our third motion, the motion to approve the executive reports. The motion reads, be it resolved that... I lied. So we will continue on to the next agenda item under for election, which is motion 7. So we will now skip ahead to our amended election item, the motion to elect 2 counselors to the Library Student Advisory Committee. The motion reads, whereas the Library Student Advisory Council requires student representatives to ensure diverse representation and effective communication between the student body and Western Libraries administration, whereas the lack of student representation may lead to inadequate feedback on services, ultimately impacting the quality of library experiences for all students, be it resolved that Council elect 2 counselors to the Library Student Advisory Committee. Can I have a seconder to introduce the motion? Councillor Smith. Are there any questions regarding the motion at this time? Are there any points of debate at this time? Are there any objections to the motion? Okay, I will now open the floor for nominations. This process will work the same as the EDI election did. Councillor Smith.
I withdraw.
Councillor Smith. Councillor Bennett. Councillor Matasako. Are there any other counselors that would like to nominate themselves at this time? All right, the nomination has now closed. Okay. So similar to, just as a reminder to council, how this election will work is every candidate will receive 2 minutes to address council, and there will be no question and answer period. We will do this alphabetically by last name. So I will now call up Councillor Bennett to provide their addressment to council.
Hi there, my name is Chantel and I am the music counselor. And that is the reason that I want to be on the Library Student Advisory Council. We have one of the largest music libraries in all of North America, and I bet you none of you guys knew that. And I think that the music library is underrepresented because it's really only music students that utilize it. And so I want to just make sure that our voice is heard. Last year, they tried to steal one of our staff members. Well, not steal, but just put him in a different position and caused great uproar because he is a composer and a lot of students write his or perform his works. And so we were able to get him back. But yeah, just I think a lot of people don't really understand the music library. And I want to make sure that our voice is represented. And also, I love libraries and books. So, yeah, thanks.
I will now call up Councillor Matasako.
Hey guys, so I'm so excited to get to speak in front of all you guys about something that me and especially my constituents also do a lot, studying. I have a lot of experience in these libraries. Taylor, I was there this week. Weldon, I was there this week as well. So I'm in all the libraries. I've been to the music library a few times. I must say it's very beautiful. I got a sticker there once, so I really enjoyed that. And I think that stuff like stickers really allow like stuff like that like in those carts that come around with snacks during exam season. I think that's what really makes libraries a community and somewhere that you can stay for a long time. Libraries aren't just a space for studying, though. They are a space that people come together and really get to interact with each other. The Welland Community Room is a great example of this. I know lots of clubs utilize that space, and I think that's such a beneficial thing for the Western library system to continue doing. So I think having my perspective of being a club president at Western and using the spaces not just in a studying manner, but using it in these different ways, whether from using it for the community room, using it to book study spaces for club meetings, using it as a soft to bring your first years together. I think it's all so beneficial, and that's why I think I love libraries. So I think I'd be great for this position.
I will now call up Councillor Smith.
You're a lot taller than I am. Okay, so there's a few things I want to talk about. First of all, I am a fourth-year student, and I have been using the Western libraries for as long as I have been at Western. I've basically used pretty much all of the library services, or at least a whole lot of them. I've booked the study rooms quite a lot. I have checked out books from the libraries. I've even been to the Archives and Records Collection Center in Weldon. So I have had quite a wide array of experiences with the libraries. So I believe that qualifies me to speak pretty well. I have also studied a lot at the libraries, as I'm sure all of us have. I pretty much live in Taylor Library during exam season. All of my friends can attest to that. So I'm quite familiar with the functions of the library. I also want to stress the extent to which I am very passionate about listening to student feedback on every issue in council, but also the way that I would apply this specifically to this position. As many of you know, I'm continuing to run my councillor Instagram, where I'm basically giving updates on what we're doing in council, trying my best to engage with students to see what people think about the issues. And I would apply that to this and make sure I am collecting a whole bunch of student feedback and being the voice of the students to for the libraries, which I believe are something, again, that is very important to all of us. I do also finally want to stress my ability to articulate my opinions and to articulate other people's opinions. I believe, as a lot of you already know, because I yap about it all the time, I am in fact the president of the Debate Society. I have a lot of experience in competitive debate, and as such, I know how to articulate myself, I know how to argue for something, and I believe I can be a very good voice on behalf of the students to advocate for the things that I believe we all want to see in our libraries. Thank you.
Okay, Council, you may now, we will send the link out in Slack, and it is also accessible on the agenda for proxies, so please proceed to rank your preferences for this election. I will now call for a brief 5-minute recess for us to consolidate the results and announce the winners of the election. We will resume in 5 minutes.
Have fun.
Hey, your thing, your mallet works. So you're like, can I hit it?
I'm pretty sure get it. No, they're filming. I don't know, but go to the website. I think.
I am now calling this meeting back to order. Councilors, please return to your seats.
Oh, my knees. Okay. I would like to.
Are my shoelaces? $4,000. You know about that? I'll tell you later.
The gray ones? They come.
Okay. Congratulations to Councillor Bennett and Councillor Smith for their successful election. Councillors, please move to Echo 360 to ratify this motion. The motion passes. We will now move on to our third motion, which is the motion to approve the executive reports. The motion reads, be it resolved that Council accept the executive reports for September 2024. Can I please have a mover for this motion? Councillor Lee, and a seconder, Councillor Teo Durascu. Are there any questions about this motion? Are there any points of debate? And are there any objections? Perfect. Okay, please proceed to Echo 360 to vote. The motion passes. We will now move on to our next motion, the motion to approve the EA federal budget submission recommendations. The motion reads, whereas the federal government will be accepting written submissions for the pre-budget consultations in advance of the upcoming 2025 federal budget, be it resolved that the Agenda and Operations Standing Committee of Council approves the federal pre-budget submission recommendations. Can I please have a seconder for this motion? Councillor, sorry, can you state your name? Okay, Councillor Lubano. Are there any questions? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Please proceed to Echo 360 to vote. The motion passes. We will now move on to our next motion, the motion to revise the grants policy. The motion reads, Whereas the current grants policies and procedures have been identified as confusing and unclear for students to understand, potentially hindering their ability to apply for and receive grants effectively. Whereas the lack of clarity in the current system has led to delays in the grants committee's ability to respond to applications in a timely manner, potentially impacting student and club activities on campus. Be it resolved that the USC adopt the revised grants policies and procedures as developed through the recent review process, which aim to streamline the application process and improve clarity for students. Be it further resolved that the VP Student Services and the Grants and Recognition Coordinator implement these new policies effective immediately and conduct ongoing assessments to ensure the changes effectively address the identified issues and align with the USC's mission of providing better support for clubs and students on campus. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Aviliano. Are there any questions about this motion? Yes, Councillor Smith.
I was just going to ask if somebody could outline what changes were made to the grant policies and procedures.
President Kalajian.
I'll pass my speaking rights to Vice President Clapper.
Thank you for the question. The changes were actually quite small. It actually just outlined like the differences between a club or an individual student looking for a grant, kind of making it easier to let students know that they also are able to apply for grants. It's not just USC ratified clubs. So the changes were very, very minute, and I would be happy to share the old document if you would like it so that you can look it over yourself. But it was really just the differences between individuals versus clubs. So.
Are there any other questions regarding this motion? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Okay, please proceed to Echo 360 to vote. The motion passes. We will now move on to our next motion, the motion regarding the University Affairs budget submission. The motion reads, whereas each year the University Affairs portfolio is responsible for the USC's budget submission to the university, whereas the budget submission should be reflective of the needs of the student body, whereas the Vice President, University Affairs, has identified recommendations related to menstrual and gender equity, work-integrated learning, and the expansion of student spaces as crucial themes in our advocacy this year, be it resolved that Council endorse the University Affairs budget submission recommendations. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Bennett. Are there any questions regarding this motion? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Okay. There is no Echo 360 for this motion, so we will be voting via your placard. So all those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay, thank you. You can put your placards down. All those opposed to the motion. All those that abstain from the motion. The motion passes. Are there any points of information to be introduced to the council floor at this time? Are there any further points of discussion to be brought to council at this time? Oh, no, that's okay. Councillor, can you repeat your name into the microphone?
Yes, my name is Ricardo Soto. Sorry, is that too close?
No, you're good.
Perfect. Okay. A point of discussion I wanted to bring forth to all of you that I believe just happened today. It might be more relevant to King's, but affects students that might be partaking in King's courses that can follow through with affiliates in main campus, is down Epworth Street. We used to have parking available for all students. That has just been removed now today, effectively. All parking down that street has been removed with no notice from the city hall about it to us, and I don't know if that's happened or been communicated here as well, but we believe for further steps, we'll be trying to reach out to our fellow city councilor to see if there's any information on that. Just figured that'd be something of note for all of you to hear about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any further points of discussion for Council at this time? President Kalajian, yeah, you can respond.
I'm going to pass my speaking rights over to Michelle to touch on this one.
Hi, this is also news to me, but Rick, let's connect after this and we can talk about any advocacy you're hoping to do on it because I would like to help out. For sure.
Thank you. Are there any further points of discussion for Council at this time? Yes, Councillor.
So sorry to be keeping you guys. I promise this is my last bit. Another initiative I wanted to bring to note to all of you guys that I was able to speak to the University Affairs Committee is something known as the Neighborhood Decision-Making Initiative. It serves as an initiative that works throughout London where the city is essentially divided into 5 different sectors for a budget of $50,000 per sector for any idea that a resident that's living there for wishes to propose. We as a King's University College Student Council put forth a proposal to have a blue phone set up by Brothdale Hall on Epworth. We believe that would be beneficial not just for King's students, but also Western and Huron students that are living on Epworth. Follow through with that as well. Anybody living within the neighborhood, that's a safety factor and it can benefit within the initiative. Unfortunately, it was denied and we had to think really quickly on our feet for a follow-up proposal. We've put forth a proposal now to have lighting within Brothdale Park. It's a sector that many students commute, both from main campus, from Huron, and around the neighborhood. It's a sector that you need to cross to get to King's. We've put forth that proposal to increase lighting for safety and also to make the park look nicer. The reason why this is relevant to all of you is that this is an initiative that can be voted on by any member of the city, which would include all of you and your dissidents. I wish for all of you to be aware of the initiative. The voting period is from the 4th to the 9th of November. It's something where you can get involved, vote for something with your community, see direct changes with the physical area around you. So just something to keep in mind for all of you. That's it. I won't be bothering you guys for the rest of the night. Thank you.
President Kalajian.
Just wanted to respond to that because it's amazing to hear. I think everyone in this room should definitely take part in that. Just as a follow-up, Michelle and I actually also had a meeting with the deputy mayor and talked about the same issue. So it is something that, on the USC front, we've been talking to with the municipal government. So there has been tandem work there, and then whatever work that we can do to further collaborate, I think that'd be wonderful.
Thank you. Are there any further points of discussion to be introduced to Council at this time? Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the Western community in the gallery? Okay, perfect. Are there any new business items to be introduced at this time? A reminder that this is reserved mostly for time-sensitive items. Okay. I now move to terminate the meeting. Can I please have a mover, Councillor Ejam, and a seconder, Councillor Triantafilakis. This meeting is adjourned at 9:47 p.m. Thank you, everyone.